Hey, what's going on? Jared Glant, Thursday, noon East Coast Standard Time. We come to the same place every week. This is Young Hustlers. And so, look, if you're watching this show, that means that you're interested in what you can do to go out there and into the marketplace and make more money, get more of the things you want in life, maybe be more confident, get the raise you want, get the job you want, get the guy or girl you want. And so our job is to help you get what you want here in this show. So Grant is on the road today. He's heading to Houston, and then he's going to be in Los Angeles. So thank you. Appreciate that. So today I have a good show for you. It's a show that's near and dear to my heart. It's about how money can increase your sales. How what you know about money and the money you have can actually increase your sales. So in sales, money's a really important thing. And your understanding about money is a really important thing. Because let me just back up and say this. If you don't know why, it's hard for you to understand how, right? And so if you don't know why you need to train and educate yourself to become a professional salesperson, it's going to be hard for you to figure out how to do it. And so one of the things that we talk about here is really focusing on getting people to get to that point where they're hungry for information. Sales is not a sexy thing, right? Selling is not a sexy thing. In fact, selling can actually elicit some really nasty emotions for people. So, I hate salespeople. Man, salespeople. You probably have people in your family that when you tell them you're a salesperson or that you sell something, they give you looks. Oh, you're one of those. You're a salesperson, huh? I love being a salesperson because I've figured out how to use the sales profession as a vehicle to get me what I want in life. Now, for me, starting out, I was super money motivated. Like from a young age, I was like, when can I work? How can I make money? I want to go big, man. I want to go big. My parents never told me that, right? And that's one of the things we'll talk about. But I always was really money motivated. I'd go around, I'd find change, and I'd start stockpiling change up, in the house, right? Going to the couches, and I was always on the lookout for money. And then, when I started getting a little older, I'd go in my dad's billfold and I'd take like $1 out, because I was like, he won't notice that, just $1, right? So I'd start stockpiling my dollars, and I loved having money. Even to this day, I love having money. Like I'm tight with money. I don't spend a lot of money, and you've probably heard Grant talk about that before. But the first thing that you need to ask if you're a salesperson right now, and I want to go over some stats real quick, the average salesperson makes $42,000 a year. 42 grand a year. Incredibly difficult to live off of that type of income. The top 10 companies that pay salespeople well, I just got this from Forbes, they range between 120 and 160 grand a year. Most of them are technology companies in California. So if you're one of these salespeople that's making less than six figures, and I'll break this down for you, if you're making 150 grand or less, really in any type of role, you need to have a real conversation about money. See, because your education about money and what you know and understand about money will ultimately determine where you're able to go in a sales career. And if you have limiting beliefs or limiting factors around how you were educated and how you think about money, then your production will be limited. So you have to go back down to this, what I was taught about money. And, if you're like me, your parents didn't teach you that getting rich was really important, Getting a good job was important. Getting a six-figure job was really important. But really cracking big money and making it big and getting rich wasn't something that we were all educated with. And so fortunately for me, it was really weird. So until I was 12 years old, I had this fantasy. I grew up in San Diego. I wanted to be a Blue Angel. I wanted to be a fighter pilot because we used to always go to the air shows every summer. And so I was like, I want to be a Blue Angels fighter pilot. But then once I got out of that phase, it was 10 or 12 years old. I was like, I want to be a businessman. I always saw myself in a suit, carrying a briefcase. I'm like, that's the successful idea of what I had in my mind. And so it was from that point that I was like, okay, this money thing's important, and getting the job at the golf course. And, I had the opportunity to make tips. And so I was scrubbing golf clubs at the end around, chopping it up with all the guys that were coming in, wasted off the course, giving me big fat tips. There was this one dude that used to come in. He was a member at the course, hammered, could barely stand up. And every day, every time he'd play golf, he'd come up and he'd drop his bag off of clubs. He'd be like, don't clean them, don't clean them, don't clean them. And he'd go in and he'd be pounding in the bar for like 2 hours. And then he'd come back out and crack me $20. And he played like once a week. So it was always good when he came around. But I was always like putting that money away. I was always really, I had a lot of attention and focus on money. Not everybody has that built into them. And so even though I wasn't getting that message from my parents, I knew at a young age that money was going to be really important to me. And there's a lot of people that are delivering messages right now about, money isn't everything. Happiness is what you need to seek. And that's fine. But like money is extremely important. And truthfully, if you've never had money and you don't have this kind of money mindset, what you're going to run into is when you start making a little bit of money, you're going to think that you've made it. And then that's when you start backing off. And this happens to salespeople a lot. I mentioned that, these top 10 companies that pay salespeople, IBM, SAP, Salesforce, these major technology companies. And these are, mostly highly educated salespeople in these roles. Dude, they're making 120 to 160. Sure, it's stable, but dude, that ain't a lot of money. And it may sound like a lot of money if you're making 40 right now. And you think that 40 is doing good. Or maybe you're making 60 right now and you're just kind of squeaking by. Like if you're making under 100 grand, 160 grand sounds like a boatload of money. But I want to actually go through and break down how little money that really is. Because the first step to increasing your sales is having the right level of motivation about it. And in order to do that, you have to understand money and you have to understand how much it takes. So for me, it was getting educated about all this money stuff from Uncle G that really got me on track. So when we get back from the break, I want to roll this number breakdown out to you to get you more reality on how much money you need to make to get where you want to be in life. We'll be right back.
There is only one company to work for in the smart home industry, Skyline Security. Right now is looking for the best of the Grant Cardone following to join their team and expand financially and professionally. Go to joinskyline.com to register. Labeled by Inc. 5000 as the fastest growing company for the last 2 years in a row, you get to protect families, grow your wealth, and join a team of top producers. Skyline is looking for great people. Go to joinskyline.com. That's joinskyline.com to get started on a brand new 10x career path. Go to joinskyline.com to register.
You ever thought about just getting away with the right people at the right time to get your mind right and your business right? Guess what we're doing? St. Bart's, October, the best weather that you can find on that island, little exclusive island in the middle of the Caribbean. It is an amazing place to go to. My wife and I have been there. Hey guys, my wife and my kids have been there twice now. We're going back in October. We would love for you to come join us. 5 days, dinner every night with us. Very exclusive trip. We'll have lunch each day together. The rest of the day, we just build our life, build our business, build our futures, map it out. I want to do it with you. They'll be there.
Oh yeah.
We hope you're there.
We're gonna have a blast. Are y'all ready for St. Bart's, girls?
Yeah!
Woo!
Franchising is listed by Grant Cardone as one of the ways to become a millionaire. Let the experts at Fran Finders be with you every step of the way as your partner finding, buying, selling, and promoting franchises. With over 10 years experience, Fran Finders is the company to help get set up with franchising, to help you get set up with owning your own franchise and finding a franchise that's right for you. Visit franfinders.com. That's franfinders.com to get started with your search today.
Hey, we're back. This is Young Hustlers every Thursday, noon East Coast Standard Time. This show comes here to load you up with data on how you can increase your income, increase your value in the marketplace, be more confident, be more happy, and get more of the things you want out of life. This ain't about how old you are. It's about how young that hustle is, and we're here to keep it young and strong. Today, we're talking about money and sales. When I came to work for Grant at 26 years old, I had a lot of knowledge about work ethic. I knew how to work hard. But I had very little education about money. And so if you can't combine the two together, then you just end up working hard your whole life and not making a whole lot of money. So hopefully my goal here is to give you some more reality on really what it takes to get your income where it needs to be for you to have a little bit of freedom and some wiggle room in your life. So I'm gonna use an example I was talking about before the break. So let's take Salesforce, for example. Sales guys make 160 grand a year, average salesperson there. Now this is at Salesforce. And these are typically people that have been in a sales position for 15 or 20 years to get to $160,000 a year. I got guys that have been in sales positions for 7 years back there. They're going to make $500,000, $600,000 this year because they got the right education about money, which they got here, which I'm going to talk about later. So $160,000 a year. Now, let's just assume that that's going to be in a major metropolitan market. Let's just assume California because that's where a lot of the tech companies are based. That's $160,000 a year. They get about half of that in taxes by the time it's all said and done with, right? So that leaves you with about 80 grand net to you, right? 80 grand divided by 12 months is $6,600 a month. Now that is real money, $6,600 to live off of. Now I've got a breakdown here of living expenses. So housing, transportation, utility costs, and other household operational costs. These are all the things that have to come out of that $6,600. Food, Social Security contributions, healthcare, entertainment, which they have entertainment budgeted as $2,500 a year. That's $200 a month for entertainment. Apparel and services, so getting business clothes, dry cleaning, keeping all your clothes up to par, keeping those undies fresh. Tommy John, what's up? Education, vices, miscellaneous, and personal care. So this comes out to about $65,000 a year with the entire list that they have here, right? So $65,000, $80,000, that leaves you $15,000. By the way, their housing expense was $10,000 for the year. That means $800 a month. They're in a place on the planet in Northern California in the San Jose area where you can live for $800 a month. You can't even rent half a room there for $800 a month. So like when you start doing the real math about money, that $160K goes away like that, right? If you buy a house, you buy a $500,000 house. Again, in a major metropolitan market where these types of companies are putting their home base, it's expensive to live there. It's expensive to go out there. It's just expensive. The cost of living is just higher. Right? You go into cities like New York, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Jose, the whole Silicon Valley area, right? I looked at a list of the top 10 most expensive places to live. California, New York, and Hawaii was one of them. But California and New York, there's two massive states, and that's where a lot of companies are headquartered, right? So you have to understand that by the time you take that 160 and you apply everything that goes attached to it, you're left with virtually nothing, right? $800 a month. If that was more real and you were in a one bedroom and you were paying $1,600 a month in San Diego and probably not the best area of town, dude, that leaves you with like $5,000 at the end of the year. What are you going to do with $5,000? Emergency comes up, $5,000's gone. Car breaks down, tranny blows up, that's gone. And then you're in a position where you're like, dude, I'm making 160 grand a year and I'm freaking broke. So what does this all mean? First of all, if you're not motivated by money, you need to be. You need to be, and not because you want to accumulate things, but because you want to survive. Like this isn't balling and popping bottles at the club. This is just surviving. These are the basic necessities. There's nothing else factored into here. Mom or dad gets sick. Car gets stolen, accident, whatever. There's no safety net packed into that, and it leaves you with virtually nothing. So what does that mean? Money is important. And I think people misconstrue the message. Just because you think money's important doesn't mean you have to be greedy and the capitalist pig. And dude, money is required for survival, right? And the better you understand money, the better you're going to understand the importance of going out and getting money, which means you're going to be curious and you're going to be looking for more things to add value to yourself so that you can go produce and create more income. Like investing in programs. Like we've got Grant Cardone's playbook right now. It's Playbook to Millions. It's a $5,000 program. We just got a big old shipment of them, bigger than we were supposed to get. I thought we had changed the order and ordered half as many, but we ended up getting double what we thought because Jared made a mistake. My fault. You get to benefit. So right now it's on sale for $299. It's a $5,000 program. It covers everything you need to know about money. And then on the back end, we start talking about some sales stuff. That's an example of something that you could invest in to help increase your worth, right? GrantCardone'splaybook.com. Another example would be this boot camp that we just launched. This is a sales and business building entrepreneurial boot camp. It's a 3-day event, super intensive. Like we've never spent 3 days with people just talking about this sales thing. 10X Growth Con, great event, 3 days, multiple speakers talking about a lot of different things, okay? This is 3 days talking about one thing, increasing your sales, increasing your income. Like that, it is that one topic of focus is sales and income. That's it. Is that two things? Is that confusing? I don't know. It makes sense to me. So you can go grantcardone.com/bootcamp. It's going to be a 3-day event. It's going to be here in Miami at Turnberry Isle. It's a beautiful resort. And for 3 days, we're going to dig into sales process. If you don't have a process, we're going to help you create one. If you don't have a cold call script, we're going to help you build one. If you don't have word tracks or know the objections that you're going to get, I'll help you find the objections and we'll help you write the word tracks. This is going to be a full-on intensive sales, supercharge workshop where you leave this thing loaded up and ready to dominate. So the first 50 people that sign up for the boot camp get their room included, okay? So you don't have to pay for the hotel room. You just have to come out here, right? This is a really nice resort, I promise you. First 50, I think we've already got 32 tickets sold or something like that, so there's only a handful more of these left, so make sure that you take advantage of that. So my point is that if money is important to you, investing in things like that becomes a lot easier, right? If I know I got to get to $300K a year from 160, now I have to start making investments in myself to go out and find that income. Now I have to be open. Where am I going to get that extra 150 grand a year? And that's when people start creating things around them that positively impact their finances, right? So when you have commitment, you get creativity. You get committed to money, you're going to start getting more creative for ways to think about it. And I'm going to give you a little checklist on how you can go out and start doing this today. We'll be back on Young Hustlers.
Grant Cardone has hit the nail on the head with the 10X rule, telling you the real reason people succeed greatly in any area of life. Brian Tracy. Grant Cardone's best-selling and most successful book on motivation, The 10X Rule.
This book is all about 10Xing your vision of what's possible in your life.
Shows you how to reach your goals you thought were impossible, overcome all your fears, and move into action to achieve exactly what you want and get everything you ever wanted and never have to settle again.
When I listen to Grant Cardone, I get fired up, man. I'm ready to take on the world.
He talks to you like a real person. You can just hear him.
It's about living your life at 10X levels.
Cardone finally shows you how to become the role model for success you've always wanted to become.
The 10X rule by Grant Cardone, I believe, can truly help you.
Really, this is kind of the epitome of his message, the 10X rule. Just 10X it all.
Get your audio download now at grantcardone.com/10X rule. That's grantcardone.com/the 10X rule. 20 years of experience in the real estate game, Cash Now PA is the place to go for buying homes for all cash with no fees, any condition with BBB accreditation. Gray Abood, owner of Cash Now PA, has been helping customers get in and out of homes, creating better spaces for living, and making a difference in local communities. With the focus on buying homes, all cash, no fees with any condition. Also be BBB accredited. Visit cashnowpa.com. That's cashnowpa.com to get started. Lifestyle, health and wellness, energy, and wealth creation. The heart of an entrepreneur and someone looking for financial freedom. LifeVantage offers an amazing opportunity, amazing technology, and an amazing team. Sammy and Lauren Reibstock are looking for 10Xers to join their team, where top earners can earn 6 figures per month. Success is determined by your drive, goal, being a team player, and work ethic. We facilitate the tools, and together we facilitate your success. With LifeVantage's technology, Sammy and Lauren will ensure your success is guaranteed. Sign up now at livewellenterprises.lifevantage.com. That's livewellenterprises.lifevantage.com.
Hey, so we're back, Young Hustlers. We're talking about getting your money right and how getting the right mindset about money can help you increase your sales. Before I dive into the last couple points here, I want to pop on. Who do we have on the phone? Let's take a caller. Martin in the Philippines. Martin, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here, Jared, my dog, my man.
My man.
Jared,
Martin, what's going on in the Philippines today, man?
It's going great, man. Everybody's sleeping, but I'm
Good, man. Good, man. I love me some lumpia and some chicken adobo and some pancet.
Oh, damn, you know.
Come on, man.
But listen, we're not talking about food right now. We're talking about money. Bro, you and Grant are my best friends, and you guys don't even know it because I listen to you every day.
Love that.
I'm starting to, I got over my fear of, selling because, dude, if you have the right intentions of helping your community, helping other people succeed and all that stuff, dude, it transpires. It transcends to them. That energy that you want to succeed, you're in a mission, they ignite that mission inside of them. Me talking about it and everything, it doesn't become, let me give you a realistic example, Jared. For example, I don't want to sell. I want to put the prices low and everything. Dude, if you're getting 50% markup for a product, okay? I tell this to my distributors all the time. If you're getting 50%, if you're marking up 50%, that's okay. It comes with you. And you know what? Go ahead, give them a gift. Say happy birthday. Be a good godfather or godmother to their children. You know what I'm saying? You can take care of them if you have something to give.
I love that, man. I love that. So let me ask you this: how old were you when you got the right mindset about money and how that influences your sales, your life?
You ready for this?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
Wow. How old are you?
I'm 26, man. I have 2 kids. One on the outside, but that's 3 kids. And my youngest is special, but that's it, man.
You know what's crazy?
Out of depression.
26 is like the magic number for some reason. It's like 26 years old. Like for Martin, it happened. For me, it happened. For Grant, it was like 26 or 27 years old. It's like
25.
For Robert, 25 for you.
Hey,
like,
Robert, what's up, man?
Dude. Yeah, so like it's this point where you're like, dude, I got to get my shit together. Like I gotta start getting my head right. And so there's actually been some really good comments in here. And thanks for the call, Martin. I appreciate you calling in from the Philippines.
One more thing, bro.
Yeah, what's up?
One more thing, bro. You know what? I bought into all that shit, that Buddhism. That's all good, that law of attraction thing. Just think about it, feel good. The price doesn't really contribute to anyone anymore, man.
That's right.
I appreciate getting me a right mindset. Action is way better because I get to see results, and that gives me confidence. Thank you, bro. I love what you guys are doing. Keep up the good work. Hey, Robert, nice videos, man.
Yo, man.
You're the man, brother. I appreciate the call, Martin, calling in from the Philippines, man. Love that. So look, like people are talking in the comments about how expensive it is to live in certain areas. And there was actually a really good comment here. Where did it go? Dyson Kai says $500K and you can get a normal life. $300K minimum per year in the Bay Area. So like these are the numbers you need to start thinking with. Like at $500,000 a year, that's again, assume taxes take half of that money away. $250,000. If it costs you $100,000 a year to live, which is a slightly above the national average, if it costs you $125,000 to live, you got $125,000 that you can bank away. Now you start stacking that money up every month. And then what ends up happening is you can start making investments. You can start creating some passive income for yourself. So the very first step that you need to do, I'm going to tie all this together right now. So do we have another caller? Yeah. Who's on the phone? Let's talk to Daniel from Oklahoma. What's going on, D?
Hey, what's happening?
Not a whole lot, man. Just doing Young Hustlers every Thursday, noon East Coast Standard Time like we do.
Absolutely. My question is overcoming analysis by paralysis.
Yeah. So what's your problem? What's your problem? Like, give me a specific example.
So we've got a program where we can look up, I sell health insurance, and we look up the Form 5500, which tells you all about the company and their products. And so then you do some research about these products and this company, and I find myself spending too much time researching and not enough time calling and talking to them. So just looking for some help with that.
Yeah, so the first thing that you have to do is you have to have a target for calls. What's your target for calls right now?
As in number of calls?
Yeah.
So 20 a day.
20 a day? Okay, so Here's what you need to do. Tomorrow when you come in, you need to get 50 calls done before noon.
50 calls before noon. Okay.
And you gotta break that between what time you get into the office at?
Around 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So what you need to do tomorrow, when you go home tonight, you need to come up with a list of 50 people that you're going to call.
Okay.
You got to have this planned out before you show up. Because if you'll get into analysis paralysis without a plan. So here's your plan, okay? Come in tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock with 50 names.
Okay.
50 names, 50 phone numbers, 50 companies. Like, I used to write these down on legal pads, right? And the night before, I would plan out the first half of my day. All prospecting. No, this was no past customer follow-up, right?
Right.
Come up with a plan. Come up with the names, dude. And you got to break that down into 15-minute chunks and see how many calls you can get done in 15 minutes. So if you have, let's just say there's 4 15-hour quarters in an hour. If you take 2 hours, that's 8 divided by 50. So let's say that's 7 calls every 15 minutes, roughly.
Right.
Dude, that's so easy.
Dude, yeah, man.
It's so easy. But by looking at that, by going all the way down to how do I get 7 calls done in these next 15 minutes? Dude, you start thinking about 7 calls, and then you've got, okay, man, now I'm in the next 15 minutes. I got to get these 7 calls. The first 2 calls went really quick. Second one went a little long, and then the last 2 went really quick. Next thing you know, dude, you've got 14 calls done in 30 minutes. You did 20 in a day.
Right.
Right? So you have to take this big, long 8-hour day and like compress it all the way down. And you got to have a plan. So if you, and this goes for anybody in sales, if you do not have a plan when you come in about the activity that you're going to take that day, you're going to be lost. You're going to be running around. You got a blindfold on, right? Like no plan equals running with a blindfold on. And if you want to get these higher levels of production, activity is crucial. Particularly if you're not that skilled, because you need to have more activity where you lack skill. And then as you like when we teach people back here, the first thing we teach them is how the muscle for activity. We teach them to get better as they go. So the first thing you need to work on, bro, is just getting that activity up. You get 50 calls a day, and then you got to do 100 calls a day. Mike Schill, one of our new guys, did 283 phone calls yesterday and had like 5 hours of talk time. So crushing it. That's how that, but we line everything up for them. They plug in, they hook in, and they just blow through calls, right? So I hope that answers your question. So here is the game plan for you. If you're like, Jared, what you're saying makes sense to me. I've never really thought about that. I thought that $100,000 a year job was a lot of money. If you're making $60,000 a year right now, and somebody said, "Hey man, I'm going to give you $100,000 a year job," you'd be freaking stoked. And you'd be so stoked that it might stop you from continuing to move on because you can't even fathom making more than that because it's just not real to you. We talk about this a lot. It's like it's an issue of people not being able to make sense of something bigger based on what they have or based on what they only think they're capable of doing. They can't even go into this next level of $500,000. I say $500,000 to some of you. You probably think I'm a freaking lunatic. You're like, $500,000? Are you crazy? That's if I had $500,000, I could live a lavish life and da 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 da. I'm just telling you, been there, done that. Don't happen that way, okay? Because you don't factor everything else that goes into that. You don't factor for investments. You don't factor for parents moving across country. You don't factor for all these other things that life serves up to you. So here's the plan. Number 1, you got to make the decision. This is the number 1 thing that you have to do is you have to make the decision today. Dude, I'm going to go all in because money is important, not because I need a big watch or a flashy car, but because I need to be able to take care of my family. You got to make the decision to like thrive in life and not just get by and not be a victim and not be subject to economic downturns or lose your job. If I lost my job right now, dude, it would hurt, but I'd be good for a few years while I figured something else out, right? Because I've been able to accumulate enough money over the years, and now I got passive income. My passive income now is more money than I used to make in a year. That just shows up in the mailbox every day because I got income high enough to be able to pay all my bills, live life, and then invest on top of that. And so that needs to be the target. Number 1, you've got to make the decision to survive or to thrive rather than just survive. Number 2, you need to get real about your money targets, right? So if you think $100,000 a year job is enough, you're wrong. I'm just telling you, no matter where you live, 100 grand is not enough to live the kind of life you think middle class is. Most people are under this spell right now that middle class is like, you know, like that's $100,000 a year job. That's we own a home. That's we have a car, you know, and then you're like, but we don't even have enough money to put a down payment on a house, right? You want to buy a $500,000 house, you got to have 100 grand to put down on it. That's a lot of money. Could you stroke a $100,000 check? Most Americans couldn't come up with $400 right now if there was an emergency because they got the wrong ideas about this money thing. So you need to get clear about how much money you need, right? Like how much money you need. It needs to be a clear target. It needs to be a clear goal. Sit down with your wife, sit down with your husband, sit down with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or if you're in some other type of domestic partnership, y'all need to communicate about this. What type of lifestyle do you want to live? And you have to, number 3, you've got to know the math. You've got to know the math. If you want to be able to retire at 50 years old, how much money do you think you're going to need in the bank to do that? Let's just say it's $10 million. You got $10 million a year. You have passive investments that pay you 6% on that $10 million. That means that at 50 years old, you make $600,000 a year in passive income. Okay. You take off, half that for taxes. It would be less than that, but you take half off for taxes. That still leaves you with 300 grand. You're in the 1% of income earners and you're not working. That's where you start getting more security, right? Because then you can weather the storm. So you got to get clear on your goals. Then you have to understand the math, not just the math and how it breaks down based on the lifestyle you want to live at some point in the future, but you got to know the math of how much production it's going to take. So for the guy that commented in the Facebook feed about, hey, what do I do if my income's capped where I'm at? You have to start getting creative and you have to start looking for other ways to supplement that. Or maybe you're just not in the right vehicle. I'm not saying that you are or you aren't, but that could be a consideration. That may be something you want to look at. If you're the top producer in the place that you operate and you perform in every day and you can't make any more money, and you look around and nobody else is making the kind of money that you need to make, you're probably in the wrong vehicle. But if you're number 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 on the list and you're not, and you think you're not in the right vehicle, you're wrong. The only way to validate the reality of if you're in the right vehicle or not is to be the top producer and then be bumping out and look around. And if you're making more money than everybody else and you're capped, then you have a problem. So you got to know the math for how many deals, how many calls, how many appointments, what your commissions are. You got to go through, I think we did a show a couple weeks ago where we actually broke down all the math to where you could figure out, like we were talking about with Daniel and those phone calls, how much money each call is worth to you. So if it's a big long formula, but basically what you do is you break all the calculations down to the point where every time you picked up a phone to make a sales call, that call was worth $2 or $3. So you have all these mini wins along the way. So that's really important. And then the fourth and the final thing, once you've made the decision, once you know the math and you know your goals and you have all your targets set up in line, now you need to start improving your ability. When we do those math calculations, that millionaire math, or when we're helping a salesperson map out their target, right? What type of activity it takes to hit their sales or income target. Dude, when we start doing that, we start looking at, okay, hey, at some point you can't make more calls in a day, which means what? You got to get better on the calls that you're making. And you got to start increasing your conversion ratio in all these little areas. Getting somebody to set an appointment, getting that appointment to show up, increasing your closing ratio on the demo, and then actually getting a contract back, right? So in order to get better, you have to learn, right? And so that's why our company exists. Our company exists so that we can help people improve their ability to go out and collect money. And so we've got the Playbook to Millions, which is a program that first goes deep. I mean, Grant goes deep into the money thing because he didn't get raised with an education about money either, but he was money motivated like I was, right? So Playbook to Millions, what it's really designed for is it's really designed for the people that are sitting there going, man, I never got educated about money. My parents never told me how important it was. I'm not happy with where I'm at right now. I know I can be producing more, but I don't even know where to start. Well, the where you need to start is you need to get the right education about money. And Playbook to Millions starts there, and then we start dropping in how you can use some different sales strategies, interpersonal communication, persuasive communication in order to get more of the things you want. Income, deals, career, job, whatever. Okay. So Playbook to Millions, one option, GrantCardonePlaybook.com. It's a $5,000 product. It's on sale for $299 right now. I promise you, this program right here, we have hundreds of reviews from people who have gone through this program and speak the world about it, especially at $299. So you can get that today on the site. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is our boot camp. Now, if you're like, hey, I'm committed, I'm making 80 grand a year right now, or 60 grand a year, or 100 grand, or maybe 120, 150, or maybe you run a sales team, right? Maybe you're a sales manager, or maybe you're a business owner, and you're like, I know that we're missing on the sales thing. And you understand the money piece, okay? You understand the money piece, so you know you're going to have to invest to feed the money. We just launched this boot camp, the sales boot camp. It's a 3-day deal. It's here in Miami. It's at Turnberry Isle Resort. It's very limited because of the type of work that we're going to do with people. Because we're going to go in and talk about sales, your sales process, and it's going to be interactive and question and answer and feedback. Because we're going to help with scripts. Because we're going to help with word tracks. Because we're going to go through and create all that stuff, and then Grant's going to come in at the end and really like talk about the 10X thing, the goals thing, and really connect the dots between your new sales plan and the goals that you have, and how we can connect the two so that you can use your new education about money, your new education about your sales process and collecting money, and go out and actually get the target, the $500K, the $1 million a year income that you deserve, by the way, that you deserve. But if you're not there yet, it may not be your fault. You've just got to get the right information. Last night I talked to a buddy of mine, highly successful guy, multi-millionaire, extremely successful business. And he called me up because he wanted to talk about cold calling. He's like, man, this whole cold calling thing is new to me. I don't know anything about it. And so this is like one of the most basic, I don't want to call it like prehistoric, but this is like the front line of prospect generation and lead generation, is making a cold call to a cold prospect. And multi-millionaire business owners still don't quite understand it and still don't get it. So at the boot camp, we're going to dig in. We're going to help create a plan that'll allow you to get that hockey stick growth you and your company deserve. You deserve as a salesperson, or that your team deserves as a manager. So 3-day event here in Miami with G, with me, with the rest of our team. Vic Antonio is going to come out and speak as well. GrantCardone.com/bootcamp. So those are 2 ways right now that you can increase your first 50 people. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. So for the first 50 people, like I said, I think we have 18 spots left for the boot camp. 5 more just now. So the boot camp, GrantCardoneBootcamp.com. We're going to include your room. That way you don't have to pay for the room when you come here. You're going to get lunch every day. Grant's going to be there, so you get to hang out with him. It's a small group. It's an intimate group. And we'd love to have you there. So the playbook, the boot camp, these are all things that you can do to help invest in creating the type of income that you want. So we'd love to have you there. Let's go to the one last caller before we jump off here.
I got Daniel in Texas.
Daniel in Texas. What's going on, man?
Good, man. How are you today?
Good, brother. I appreciate you calling in.
No, of course, yeah. Look, my name is Daniel. I'm here in Dallas, Texas, and I work in the solar industry, right?
Okay.
Now, my question is,
for
them, and I got a question for you. What do you suggest? I got a really good company where they gonna pay, say, for example, 75% of what the other company is gonna pay me, really good money, and available to make my own team. And I'm, the solar industry for me is a great industry, but just like Grant Cardone said, it's a short time. The window is really short. So, in that case, what do you think it could be the best decision?
All out sprint. All out sprint. You've got to move fast. Like, some people make a lot of money chasing opportunity. One opportunity comes up in solar, they go after that. Maybe the next opportunity is, cryptocurrency, and they chase that. Then the next opportunity is, self-driving cars, and they chase that. Solar has a huge window right now, massive.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people that are under 30 years old making 500, 600, 700 grand a year doing it. some even more than that. Okay, so the opportunity is definitely there. What do you do if you know that at some point that window may close? Move fast. Move fast, move hard, 7 days a week, 12-hour days. You've got to go all in and cram everything through that window as possible. It's like the bank vault is open and you can take as much cash out as you can for the next 20 minutes. How fast are you going to move? That's what's happening with solar right now. I mean, there's work involved in it, of course, but dude, when you got an opportunity, you have to go all in on that opportunity. So look, that's my message for you. Do the math, figure out like how much money you actually need at the end to live the life that you want. And then start working backwards, start setting your income targets, start understanding the math to your success rate in sales with phone call conversion, deal profitability, all that stuff. And then last and final, educating yourself. We would love to see you out here in Miami, hang out with you for 3 days. We're cool people, man, you know, love to hang out with you, learn more about you. Most importantly, help you increase your sales and your ability to go out and produce. So that's it. And remember, the only people that condemn the hustle here on Young Hustlers, the only ones that condemn the hustle are the ones who've already given up on that same hustle themselves. We'll see you guys next week.